Donald Trump returns to Twitter. And my friends, this has been quite the saga. In fact, there was a very interesting piece that summarized exactly what happened that was released sort of as a montage over the weekend. Here is how Donald Trump came back onto Twitter. To Bitcoin meme, shout out to Cat Turd, shout out to everybody who put that meme together. I saw that first from Naive Meme over on Twitter from Bitcoin meme. And that's basically how the entire Twitterverse felt when the news broke. Everybody was pretty shocked. Here is the actual poll. And it was kind of a wild thing because this is what Elon did. He actually did it via poll. You know, it was actually, he said, hey, I'm going to just publish this and see what you guys have to say about it. In fact, here the poll is, it was published officially on November 18th. It got over 15 million votes. Holy moly, right? That is a lot of them. And that is 51.8% in favor of reinstating former President Donald Trump, 48% to 0. And he said, well, as the people go, the voice of the people is the voice of God. He says 134 million people have seen this poll. And a lot of people had a ton of reaction to this thing. Okay. And we're going to go through quite a bit of that because we've got a lot from the Democrats, very upset. We've got Kinzinger, who's basically a Democrat, Schiff, Pencilneck, who's very upset about this, and this other guy who even knows who he is, but he's saying that this is Russia, right? All of those results were Russian hacked bots. So it's like insane, but we're going to get into all of that. But I wanted to make sure we could sort of refresh our recollection. Why was Donald Trump banned in the first place? Why did he get booted? I mean, January 6th was sort of like a little bomb went off, right? It was a lot of chaos. Nobody really knew what the heck was going on. A lot of us were skeptical. Other people were saying it was all Trump's fault. We had a big discussion about it, but the news was chaotic. We really couldn't tell what was north or south or what was right or wrong. And all the media companies just decided kind of unilaterally, you probably remember this, there was like this domino effect where every single company, just one after the other, just started to just get rid of Trump. He was banned from all sorts of different platforms, sort of one right after the other. He got, I think, Facebook and Twitter and every single one of them, including payment processors, PayPal, all of it. But why? What was the whole point of that? What happened? Well, here's what Twitter said. Back on January 8th, Friday, 2021, just 2 days after January 6th, they said, regarding the permanent suspension of Trump. They said, after a close review of recent tweets from @RealDonaldTrump account, the president at the time, and the context around them, specifically how they are being perceived and interpreted on and off Twitter. This is official, right, from their blog. We have permanently suspended the account due to the risk of further incitement of violence. And you say, okay, great. All right, that was literally January 8th after January 6th. Okay, so what could he possibly be talking about? Is he posting on Twitter that I was following Trump at the time? Okay, following all of this. We were live streaming with you here. Asking, what was he saying that was instigating violence? And so the Twitter dorks back then, they said, hey, in the context of the horrific event this week, we made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations of the Twitter rules would potentially result in this very course of action. So in other words, they gave him a warning. Our public interest framework exists to enable the public to hear from elected officials and world leaders directly. Got it. It's built on a principle that people have a right to hold power to account in the open. Yeah, exactly. We want to hear from Trump. Okay. We as the people, we want to hear from him. It's not just about Trump's ability to communicate his message to us. It's we want to hear from him. But they know better than us. However, we made it clear going back years that these accounts are not above our rules entirely and cannot use Twitter to incite violence. Okay, well, I'm waiting for it. Where's the violence? We will continue to be transparent around our policies and their enforcement. The below is a comprehensive analysis of our policy enforcement approach in this case. Now, let's see how comprehensive this is. Okay, it's not that comprehensive. Well, let's go through it. On January 8th, President Trump tweeted, January 8th, not even January 6th. He said, quote, "The 75 million great American patriots will have a giant voice into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form." Shortly thereafter, he said, "To all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Okay, there you go. Those are the two messages. Due to the ongoing tensions in the United States and an uptick in global conversations regarding the people who violently stormed the Capitol on J6, these two tweets must be read in the context of broader events in the country." So it's not even he made a direct claim about anything. It's in the broader context. Okay. He says, including where the statements can be mobilized by different audiences, including to incite violence. Oh, yeah. After assessing the language, it goes against our glorification of violence policy, and therefore he is permanently suspended. We've assessed two tweets saying that it might replicate other acts of violence. The statement that he's not going to be attending the inauguration seems to sow discord in the orderly transition, right? The second tweet, so it's just, this is some, bizarre person who's just trying to, you can see, rewrite what he said. Donald Trump wrote what he said, and this is some person rewriting what he said. The second tweet may also serve as encouragement. Oh, it may also. It may not. It could become whatever this writer wants it to be. The use of the words, quote, "American patriots" to describe some of his supporters is being interpreted as support for those who committed violent acts. Okay, so the word American patriots now, just some bozo in Twitter just decided to define what that means. The mention of his supporters having a giant voice into the future and they're not going to be disrespected is a plan to shield those who believe, the way he does about the outcomes. As such, our determination says that this is likely to inspire others to replicate violent acts, and there are other indicators, and this is encouragement to do so. Therefore, he is gone. He's going to be booted off Twitter, right? That was the whole basis for it. So in other words, these weren't even anything that sort of led up to January 6th. It wasn't January 6th tweets in and of themselves. These were after the fact on January 8th tweets, and it was about not going to the inauguration. That's the one tweet. And the other one is we're not going to be disrespected or treated unfairly. That's it. Those are the two reasons. Those are the glorification of violence. All right. So that's why they booted Donald Trump out of there. And now he's back. And so we can see that before they booted him, there were several very peaceful tweets that they just left out, which you can see here. He posted both of these things, which, as far as I can recall, never made it into the January 6th fake garbage, illegally constituted January 6th committee. He said here, "I am asking," right? This was posted on January 6th, the day of. They didn't factor this into their context. "I'm asking everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." Donald Trump posted January 6th. But that didn't make it into the January 6th official committee for some reason. Now, of course, we have to talk about the reaction from Kinzinger, from the Russian bots allegations that are making their way on CNN and elsewhere. We're also going to check in with Adam Schiff. But first, we have to say a shout out and a special thank you to our sponsors over at 4Patriots. And of course, my friends, as you know, a food shortage could be coming in the United States. Experts have been talking about this as recently as July. We've got drought, inflation, new policies, different things are pushing our food supply to a breaking point. Now, that's why survival food is more important now than ever. And you can create your own stockpile of best-selling 4Patriots survival food kits today. It's not ordinary food. This is good for 25 years. Super survival food. It's hand-packed by family-owned facilities in the United States. It gives jobs to over 200 Americans. Kits are compact, they're sturdy, they're water-resistant, they stack easily. Different delicious breakfast, lunches, and dinners. And you can make these things very easily. All you have to do, boil, simmer, and serve. 20 minutes, you're good to go. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com, use promo code ROBBERT to get 10% off of your first order, including, take a look at this 3-month survival food kit. It's outstanding. You'll get everything in here for an entire year guaranteed, plus free shipping on any orders over $97. They're called 4Patriots because a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. And you can go to 4patriots.com, use promo code Robert, start building your stockpile today. And look at this. It looks outstanding. And so thank you to 4Patriots and for supporting 4Patriots. Thank you to you for supporting them. But all right, now let's take a look at what the Democrats are saying in response to all of this, because of course, Donald Trump is officially back on Twitter. His account is unsuspended, but it has not been tweeted upon. We haven't seen Donald Trump emerge. We're going to ask ourselves if he is going to. We have a little bit of a statement from him here. But before we get to Trump, let's see what some of the Democrats are so upset about, because they are upset. Adam Kinzinger, very upset that Donald Trump is now back on Truth Social, and he doesn't think it's legitimate. In fact, he thinks that this might be the result of Russian bots.
Was taken off Twitter in the first place for inciting the violent insurrection against the Capitol. You're a member of the committee investigating the insurrection. What do you make of Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump?
Well, look, I mean, I get that people are on all sides of this debate. The fact that he did it with a poll of which, you know, however many percent of those could have been bots that aren't real people voting in that. Secondarily,
the Twitter bots?
I don't know if, you know, that decision should be made by some poll. I mean, what happened, if remember specifically when this was all done, so not only was he lighting and accelerating the fire on January 6th, also before January 6th with his conspiracies, at the end of the day, he said, this is what you get when a victory is so unceremoniously basically taken away from the American people. So not only when it was done did he have any remorse, he said, well, of course you guys had an insurrection because that's what you get when you steal an election. I mean, I remember seeing that specific tweet and just being outraged at how after all this is done, can you still do that? And so now this idea that he's going to come on and be reformed, everybody knows he won't. And by the way, I'll say as a quick aside, the person probably the most upset today is Devin Nunes, because this is going to tank Truth Social if he does in fact leave.
All the bots, all of the very indefinable things that vote for things and suddenly, you know, changes the outcomes in ways that you don't like. He's very upset about that happening on Twitter. And of course, you know, nobody wants that happening anywhere. But Adam Kinzinger is, you know, not even, he kind of seems like a denier, like a poll denier kind of a thing. You know, he's sort of, is he questioning Elon? Is he questioning the outcome of the results? It's strange to me. Okay, but that's Adam Kinzinger, very upset about Trump, you know, sort of, I guess, being back on there. He can't believe it. He read one of Trump's tweets one time, and he has nightmare and, you know, ongoing PTSD as a result of it. So hopefully he is okay. But it's not just him who thinks that maybe that poll is illegitimate. On Face the Nation, I don't even know who this guy is. This person thinks that Elon's poll for Donald Trump was colluded by Russians.
So I think these polls are mostly a gimmick, and I would argue the people haven't spoken. The GRU has spoken.
Oh, there it is.
These Twitter
Russian
has become,
intelligence, you mean?
100%. Twitter has
Definitely
become a playground for bad actors and fake bots. This poll is meaningless. This decision is meaningless.
Yeah.
But you had predicted earlier that Twitter could collapse.
Yeah, it could collapse. And my gosh, those Russian bots hacking the polls on Twitter, it could be the end of America as we know it. I mean, the Russians have infiltrated the Trump campaign. The Russians have infiltrated the election systems. The Russians have infiltrated now the Twitter polls. Oh, gosh, we're all going to be doomed. We're all going to die because of the Russian bots. Everywhere we go. Now it's this guy on Face the Nation. Now, it's not just those two who are upset about this. We have more reaction from the January 6th Select Committee members. Adam Schiff is quite perplexed as to why Donald Trump is back on Twitter, saying that the January 6th committee has already done his due diligence. They've proven this man is an insurrectionist. And now Donald Trump is going to be insurrecting social media.
So I want to begin with the news overnight that Donald Trump has been reinstated by Elon Musk on Twitter. Watching the January 6th committee hearings, Trump's tweets were a big part of the story to be told. What do you think of him being back on Twitter?
Except those tweets that we just looked at that weren't the go home peacefully, no violence, only peace. We are the party of law and order. Most of that stuff was sort of left out. And what's very interesting is that there was no historical record of it because they canceled his entire account.
Twitter.
I think it's a terrible mistake, and you're absolutely right. As we showed in the January 6 hearings, the president used that platform to incite that attack on the Capitol. His comments about the vice president, his own vice president, put Mike Pence's life in danger. He showed no remorse about that. He continues to lie about his actions on that day. He talks about pardoning the people who attacked police officers and attacked the Capitol that day. And it
which they should be pardoned, by the way. There were many people who were entrapped into being in there and charged with crimes in the first place. We've covered a lot of it here. And you people on the January 6th Select Committee still haven't communicated to us how many of those people were federal informants. We know that there were at least, I don't know, a dozen split between the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. That's basically been confirmed in court documents now. I sound like Alex Jones. But, you know, it has been confirmed. Federal informants were embedded all over the place. Nobody wants to talk about it, but they were there. And he is saying that, well, we talked about this also, where they were waving people in, literally opening doors and waving people into the Capitol. Why should they not be pardoned? They've been the subject of political prosecutions from the Democrats for almost 2 years now. That's the entire reason we have the pardon power, is to have an escape valve for partisan prosecutorial hacks like these people.
Contradicts what Elon Musk said, that he was going to establish a council to evaluate this, and further contradicts Musk and his claimed concern about bots on his own platform. To subject the decision to a poll on the platform that could be easily abused that way. It just underscores the erratic leadership of Twitter now under Musk, but also the security concerns with security people fleeing Twitter and what that means for the protection of Americans' private data.
Do you see where that's going? One more time. Listen to this.
But also the security concerns with security people fleeing Twitter. And what that means for the protection of Americans' private data.
Yeah, they got to step in and protect you harder now because Elon Musk is now in charge. You know, they're not too concerned about TikTok or their lovable friends, Facebook, who will print Zuckerbucks out of his derriere right for them, right into their mouths. He is just so upset that Elon now is in charge. Security might be problematic. And so you might need the federal government to, you know, step on in and help out a little bit so that Elon doesn't do anything that might jeopardize national America's security interests or even private citizens' interests, you know. So Elon, I can almost guarantee that they're going to come under the scrutiny of the FTC. You're going to see all sorts of, inquiries taking place. Even Joe Biden said he's worth being looked into because that's what happens when the left loses one of their pillars. They had control over the entire conversation. Everybody went into this big feeding trough where they could just fill it with their sludge and all of us had to guzzle it down. Well, guess what? Elon's in charge of it now and they don't like that. So they're taking the whole thing away if they can. This is just a precursor of what's to come. I can't imagine what these people are plotting against Elon when the time is right. Now, Trump is responding to some of this. Of course, people are waiting for the tweet. Where is it? Where's the tweet? Ugh. But it's not happening. We'll see. Now, Trump gets asked about the return to Twitter. Mr. President, you're back unsuspended. Are you going to be tweeting? You've got like 83 million followers over there. People want to hear from you. What do you have to say about it?
My question to you is, what do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter? And if you are reinstated, will we see you back on Twitter again?
Well, I like that he bought it. I've always liked him. I got along with him very well during my days as president, and I got to know him pretty well. But I do like him. I've always really, you know, he's a character, and I tend to like characters, but he's smart. He did put up a poll, and I hear it's very overwhelming, very strong. But I have something called Trump. If you look, it's Trump-owned, but it's really fantastic. Truth Social, and Truth Social is through the roof. It's doing phenomenally well. The press hates to talk about it, but it's doing phenomenally well. I think engagement is much better than it is with Twitter. And it's taking care of voices that really want to be taken care of, and really smart voices, brilliant voices, voices that in many cases are both sides. But I can tell you there's a lot of voice for Israel, a lot of power for Israel in Truth Social. So Truth Social.
Now, I think he's speaking at an event for Israel or something. That's why that might sound out of context.
Has been very, very powerful, very, very strong. and I'll be staying there. But I hear we're getting a big vote to also go back on Twitter. I don't see it because I don't see any reason for it.
There's a reason.
Problems at Twitter. You see what's going on. It may make it. It may not make it. But the problems are incredible. The engagements
not
are
really
negative. And you have a lot of bots and you have a lot of fake accounts, which I think they should get on. But Truth Social has taken the place for a lot of people, and I don't see them going back onto Twitter.
Well, so he may not come back. I mean, I think he probably should. I mean, he's got like 83 million followers over there and counting. Or, one strategy for him would be to post on Truth Social and then copy the post on Truth and then move it over and post just a screenshot on Twitter. And then, he could sort of do the thing that a lot of people do. Like, I think a lot of people do that on Instagram, right? Or actually people will take the tweet, post it on Instagram, or post the Instagram, post it on Twitter. And so Trump could do that. But we are asking ourselves, is he sort of contractually prohibited from doing something like that? Or is he just really focused on Truth? And to be honest, Truth is not a bad platform, right? I'm on Truth Social. Shout out, to everybody on Truth Social. I think that it is, it's a much smaller ecosystem, obviously. Twitter's much bigger than that. And so, I think if Trump really does want more eyeballs, which is what you need in a campaign, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. You got to go back on Twitter in some way, shape, or form. But I don't think you have to necessarily, ditch the old platform. And the people who are there are, tired of, they want a voice. They want a place where they can be free. And so I don't think it's right to them either to abandon the platform because they've been, the most loyal people. And I think that what Trump is doing there is sort of speaking to that, which is the right call. So he's got to kind of find the medium, right? What's the right balance on the right social media platform? But he has the option if he wants it. He's back on Twitter. And so, of course, we'll continue to follow him and others and see if anything changes. And what I'm most interested in, of course, is the U.S. federal government coming to investigate him, which I think is going to be their next move. But we'll see. We'll continue to follow. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for liking this video wherever it is you are watching us, because I look forward to seeing you on the next one.